Okay, I got the job. It's in KZN. Where am I going? You know when you go on Google Maps and you do the 360 view and it shows you like an aerial view of the place? Guys, there was literally nothing. It was brown grass, long grass. It was just, I was like, is this place for real? Like, am I really gonna go somewhere that I've never heard of? When do I start? And they say Monday. And I'm like, hi, boo. It's Friday afternoon. Sanbanani dumelang thobela le kae lina la ka ke Nukumukovi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. You're the real MVP. And if you are new here, please subscribe and watch this video to the end. I really hope you enjoy it. Today I will be telling you a little bit about my journey to getting my first job. I literally moved to a new province in a town that I had never heard of. And it was such a rash decision, but the decision that has changed my life. I really hope you will be encouraged by this video. I do share a lot of my rejections, again, back on my rejection theme, but I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. First of all, disclaimer, if I sound a little bit nasally, I'm recovering from a flu, but I'm doing this video. So as you know, I am a speech language therapist, qualified and certified to practice, but I'm currently a full-time medical student studying and living my best student life. So my first job was as a speech language therapist. So during my community service year, which is the first year after you qualify for your degree, this is like a number of years ago, right? I did my community service year, and towards the end of the year, I had found myself a post for the next year. So your community service year is 1 year that you have to do in a public hospital or clinic or public health facility. And once you're done with that, you are then certified legal to practice independently, so to say. So I finished my year. Well, I was at the end of my year and I had already organized a post for myself for the next year because now I needed to get permanent employment. Everything was sorted except the paperwork, so I hadn't signed off anything. And it was around November when I found out that they had given the post to someone else. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, now I need to find a job. I had secured it. I was so sure I was gonna go work there. Now I needed to go find a job. December goes by, January comes. December was my last month as a ComServe. January comes and I'm unemployed. Shock, horror. So I'm sitting there with my degree and ready to work, no employment. I decide there's no way. I mean, I've been calling around. I asked people for, like, if they know of any places, like, let me know. Nothing. As soon as the official work year started, so this is like after the first week of Jan, I go to the Department of Health offices in Gauteng because I'm like, ain't no way, y'all gotta get me a job. So I go find someone and I'm like, anyone who is willing to hear my story and give me a place to work. So in December, I had actually found another hospital and I'd submitted my CV and they needed a speech therapist, but they were like, no, we're not taking anyone. We have the post, but we're not filling it. And I was like, what, you guys? So I go to the Department of Health offices, I find someone, I speak to her, and she says to me, oh, actually, I do have a post for you. And I'm like, great. She tells me where it is. It's in Gauteng somewhere. And I was like, no, I don't want to go there. And she was like, what? What do you mean beggars can't be choosers? And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I can't go there. And she's like, okay, then what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, something else. So she asked me a question that really changed my life. She was literally like, do you have a husband? Do you have a child? Do you have a spouse? Do you have a partner? Do you have a dog, a cat? Something that is keeping you in Gauteng? And I'm like, no, I don't. So she says, then leave. Go find a post in another province if you don't want the one I'm giving you. And I was like, what? Up to that moment, I hadn't actually considered applying somewhere else. Like, I thought about it, but I hadn't gotten like the courage to actually dwell on that thought and act on it. And here this lady had just given me wings to fly. Oh my goodness. So I go, okay, I'll try. She says to me, go look for a post. If by the end of this week you don't have anything, come back next week and I'll give you this one. Or, I mean, if it's still there, otherwise, like, it's late for you. Don't say I didn't try. So I go, shot. Challenge accepted. I go home. It's a Monday after like a very long day of running around the CBD, sorting out my admin. I go home. I don't tell my parents that I was offered work somewhere in Gauteng. I just tell them, oh yeah, they said I should probably come back next week if I don't find anything, but I should look in other provinces. Now, they're shocked because I'm telling them that I might actually go to another province. We had never discussed this before. It was like never a thing. And here I am, ready to go. I start looking. It's a Monday, I'm tired, so I said, okay, on Tuesday, I'm gonna start like doing the work. I buy 110 Rand airtime. That's what I could afford at the time. I wasn't working. So, putting things together, I sat down, I strategized, and I decided I was gonna start calling different hospitals. So I go onto internet, I look for hospitals in the Northwest and in Mpumalanga, because I thought, that's still close enough to Gauteng for me to be able to come back if I needed to, maybe over the weekend or even during the week. Like, driving an hour and a half is not bad. Because ideally I wanted to work somewhere where I could still stay at home and not have to like commute every day like very far, or not have to stay like at the place where I'm working, because sometimes you have to stay very close to where you're working, or on the premises if you working in like rural areas or whatever. But I wanted to be close to home. Little did I know I was contradicting myself, because I was about to move far away. Cool. So I get on the internet, Northwest Dololo, Mpumalanga Dololo. And I think to myself, how about we take it back to the beach? And I'd always loved the idea of going to beach, so living near the beach. So I decide on KZN, because I figure Cape Town is very far. KZN you can still drive, So I get on the internet again, find a list of hospitals in KwaZulu-Natal. There's a list of like 75 hospitals. I'm like, this is perfect. I sit down, I get my phone, I start from A, start working my way up the list, call the hospitals A, B, C. No luck. So I'm like, okay, let me flip this list around, start at the end, start from Z or V, whatever the last hospital was. Start working my way down. No success. And I'm like, no, I need to change my strategy, because at this point I was calling HR departments. So you call, you go through to switchboard, right? Switchboard asks you where you want to go, and I say HR. I ask these HR departments, hi, do you have a speech therapy post? Some of these departments didn't even know what speech therapy was, which was not shocking. It was disappointing, but not shocking that they didn't know. So I figured, instead of calling HR, let me ask Switchboard to put me through to the speech therapy department, because they would know. Switchboard knows everything, guys. Switchboard is your plug. They would put me through. So if they had a speech therapy department, they'd put me through. If they didn't, I'd say, okay, can I please go through to the physio department? Because there is nobody who does not know the physio department. So I go through to physio, ask them, hey, do you need a speech therapist? Do you have a speech therapist? And guys, by the time I found a post, because I did find a post, I had called 50 different hospitals. Do you hear me right? 50 rejections. In 2 days, I had worked my way through 50 rejections, and I found one that said they have a post. So the lady says to me, okay, yeah, there is a post, but I'll call you tomorrow just to like confirm if it is available. Lo and behold, this is now a Wednesday. Thursday, she calls and she's like, hey, can you do an interview tomorrow? And I'm like, what? Tomorrow? Sure, let's go. So the plan was to do the interview on Friday, right? Friday, 3 p.m., they say. So I have like a few hours to prepare for this interview that's coming. I sit down, I call up like my previous seniors. I'd never done an interview before, so I'm calling people up to say, hey, do you know what type of questions they would ask, how I should answer, you know, what are the typical things that they look for in this kind of field? And people give me advice. I'm writing notes, guys. I'm sitting there like studying for this interview for my life, right? The next day comes, I do the interview. Literally 4 p.m. that day, they call me and they're like, you got the job. And I'm like, what? Okay, I got the job. It's in KZN. Where am I going? Guys, I don't know how many times I checked on that map for this hospital and this location. You know when you go on Google Maps and you do the 360 view and it shows you like an aerial view of the place? Guys, there was literally nothing. It was brown grass, long grass. It was just, I was like, is this place for real? Like, am I really gonna go somewhere that I've never heard of? Nobody I knew had heard of. Nobody I knew had heard of that place. Like, but I was like, it's fine. So I asked them, when do I start? And they say Monday. And I'm like, hi, boo. It's Friday afternoon. I start on Monday. I tell my parents, shocked. I didn't even get to like tell people that I was leaving. I literally was just packing my things that weekend. Packing things, said in my car, so that I can jump into my car on Monday morning, which I did, 4 a.m. I jumped into my car with whatever possessions I could like squeeze in there, going to this place that I did not know. I ended up driving. I went by myself, by the way, which is so brave. And I just need to backtrack here a little bit. So there was a prayer that I'd actually prayed, because when I was busy looking for those posts in like KwaZulu-Natal, I literally prayed, God, if you love me, you will remove me from Gauteng. And the reason was that I felt like I was living in the fast lane. I was in Gauteng, you know, when they say Josie Maboneng, I was like in every like hip place, living my best life. It was just too fast. It was such a fast life that I just was here. Like I couldn't do it anymore. I felt like I had lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I just needed a change of scenery. I needed a new life. I needed a new start. And I prayed, God, if you love me, you'll get me out of here. And it's funny because I'm like, I was giving God an ultimatum. Like, who does that? But I was like, I did that. And let me tell you, God was like, let's go. And he took me out. So going back to the story, Monday morning, 4 a.m., I get in my car, I drive. Brave little girl, you know, going to her first job. And by the way, that's why I'm wearing my scrubs, because, you know, first job. I take 10 hours to get to the place because I got lost. It was supposed to take me about 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. It took me 10.
I got lost. Look at me now. Like I'm literally in the middle of nowhere.
I get there. It is rural. Like traffic is like cows. There are no cars on the roads. There are chickens crossing the road. I remember at lunchtime when I would sit down on the grass and watch cows grazing and sheep, and it was just such a tranquil place. It was the most rural place I'd ever been to, like, but it was just what I needed. It was like absolutely serene. I remember there'd be like 3 to 4 days out of 7 where there was no network on my phone. So I'd be sitting there disconnected from the world. It's like I'd literally gotten into this vault and I was disconnected from the world. I just got off social media because I literally couldn't connect. Like, it was just pointless. And I spent about the next 2 years living in this little bubble of, I don't want to say nothingness, because it was so much wholesome, like, living. I had to cook food from, like, I want to say from scratch, but guys, there was no like ready-made food like at the shops. This town was so rural. There were literally a handful of shops that were surrounding the hospital, and I stayed on the hospital premises, because if you are an outsider living in that town or working there, you can't necessarily stay in the community because it just wasn't safe for you to stay there. But you could be there during the day. Don't you dare leave the premises at night. But I never felt unsafe. I always felt safe. I felt at peace. I found my calm, and I had my first job, guys, and I loved it so much. I had to leave for whatever circumstance I needed to leave for. But it really was an answered prayer, a resilience walk, a resilience like battle to get there. But I was living the life that I prayed for. And just to add some spice, in that year, in the midst of all that rural nothingness, is where I met my husband. What? Yeah, it was crazy. But all this to say, guys, that like nothing is impossible. If you give God your dreams, He will bring them to life. He will give you a new start if that's what you need. If you feel in your heart as well that you need a new start, you need change, then you probably do. And the universe will align things for you to work out, you know. And you just need to be brave, courageous, and do whatever it is you feel your heart is set to do. And just a funny thing is, I'd moved to KZN to be close to the beach, not knowing that the nearest beach would be 3 hours away. And eventually I did go. The first weekend I was there, I drove to the beach 3 hours away, because I was like, there's no way I'm living in KZN, not going to the beach. Now I live so close to the beach, but I never go there. But yeah, I was living in bliss, and I was so happy. And I'm still so grateful for that challenge that I went through, that I overcame, because it got me literally here where I am now. Another resilient story. So guys, let me know in the comments what brave moves you're going to be making, or what interesting parts you found in my story and my journey. And I wish you all the best in finding a new job, if that's what you are doing, or finding a new venture. And I believe in you, and I love you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.